Welcome to Decent Exposure. I'm Dr. Sue here with Sabrina, and we are lucky enough to have Morgan joining us to talk about her experiences with ulcerative colitis, which I'm going to call UC, so I don't trip all over that. If you haven't already checked out the video, just the quick introduction of what UC is and what diagnosis may look like, feel free to check that out. But Morgan, can you just give us, so we know you were diagnosed when you were early teens. Can you give us an idea of kind of as you've gotten older, how it's impacted your dating life and your sex life, if you're comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't really start dating at all until I was a junior in high school, which again is also kind of not too bad. It's not that normal. I thought it was. I always thought that, oh, it's because of your disease. Like you missed out on so much because like I didn't get to go to homecoming, things like that. Like because my 8th grade year, my freshman year, I was pretty much just riddled with ulcerative colitis. I was in the hospital constantly, even had to withdraw from in-person school and do something called homebound, where it's essentially homeschooled in the hospital and at home. And so I just saw it as this has ruined my life. As a teenager, I don't get to go have my first kiss. I don't get to go on my first date or go to the movies with a group of friends and boys. And so I was just like, honestly, I felt like I had missed a lot out on social cues because of that. And I still feel that to this day. And so I didn't really start dating until junior year when I met another boy when I was out to the movies with my friends, and he went to a different school. And to me, that was like, oh my gosh, this is great. He knows nothing about me. Like, he doesn't know that I was missing from school for so long and that I looked weird because of steroids and that I was sick, because everybody at school knew, because it was very physically obvious whenever I was at school when I was super sick. Because at that point of junior year, I was in remission. I had a total proctocolectomy already. I had an ostomy, but I was back to having a J pouch. So I felt like I was living a semi-normal life. So that was great. I was like, this is amazing. And so I started dating him with him not knowing anything. And through all of this, actually, I was dealing with a lot of issues from ulcerative colitis at that time. We didn't know it yet, but my J pouch had failed. It had twisted inside my body and fallen over. And I had developed pancolitis, which is where my ulcerative colitis started attacking me outside of my colon, which was already gone. So it was attacking me in my small intestine now, which is not something colitis is supposed to do. So I was going to all these doctor's appointments and losing weight and just hiding things from him because I was so afraid. I was like, I was supposed to be normal. Like, I was in remission. This was it. And then finally it got to the point where I had gone to the Cleveland Clinic and didn't tell him. Like, I spent so much time at the Cleveland Clinic going through tests and things, and spent my spring break there my junior year, and they told me I would need like a full reconstruction, and it was going to be 3 major surgeries and some more treatments. And I was like, ooh, I think I should tell my boyfriend about this. But here I am, like a 16-year-old, just freaked out, like, oh, he knows nothing. He's going to think I'm a liar. And when I did eventually tell him, he did kind of freak out a bit. He like started crying, thinking I was dying. And I was like, oh, like, this has been going on a while. I just didn't tell you because it was in remission. But it honestly wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to end up like he was going to be grossed out by me and run away. He just ended up being emotional about it, which isn't a bad thing. So that was essentially my first experience with dating and ulcerative colitis. So from that point on, I realized maybe I shouldn't hide this in a relationship, because I was so afraid to essentially come out and tell him that I had this chronic disease. And I spent most of our relationship hiding it. And I was like, wow, that wasn't that bad. And maybe things would be way easier if he knew from the beginning. And so from then on, I was like completely open with everybody about it. Like, I would literally tell people on first dates, like, this is my life story. Because I got so excited. I was like, wow, that was so much easier once they knew. And I know that's not the thing for everybody, but it was for me. Like, I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who can't handle this, or someone who thinks it's going to be gross. And I don't want to live with that dread of having to tell him one day. So literally first date, I'm just going to tell him everything. And so far it hasn't let me down. And I think it's because I've just lived my life with my disease in the open, not in the way that my disease is me and it governs my entire life, but the way that I'm unapologetic about it. And when people find out I have it, I'm like, oh yeah, I have that. Cool. Because I don't want it to be a huge deal when it comes to my dating life, because it shouldn't take away from me as a person. So that's really just how I've dealt with it. And now I'm in a very long-term relationship, like 4 years with some dude. That
not just some dude anymore. Right?
Poor guy. I love him so much. He's just some dude. But no, we actually spent our first date with like 4 or 5 hours long because we just talked about everything. He was so curious. He wanted to know all about it because he thought I was amazing because of it. And I was like, wow, this is kind of great.
So I mean, that I think is incredible, because that was actually going to be my question, is like, how do you disclose? When do you disclose? So it was kind of just like, for you, like, you're really out in the open about it. Not that it defines you, but like that is something that's a part of you. And it sounds like for the most part, the people that you have told have been pretty like receptive, like they've remained curious, or if they weren't in that mindset, you know right away, like, that's not necessarily a person that I want to have in my life.
Yes, definitely. Because I was just, from when I was 16, I hated that feeling of hiding it. I was like, this is horrible. And I was constantly dreading, like, what if they find out? And what if they don't like it? So I was like, I'm never going to go through that again. I'm just going to tell them straight off the bat. And if they don't like it, there's the door. Like,
yeah,
they're lost.
I mean, that is amazing, and just so brave and like courageous of you. I know Dr. Sue and I really appreciate you being so open and transparent, because sex in general and intimacy in relationships can be a difficult thing for anyone to talk about, let alone adding a chronic condition on top of that. And so we just want to say thank you so much to those who are watching this video and who want to learn more. There is a whole series on ulcerative colitis that Morgan has so graciously been a part of in answering questions and talking about different things. So stay tuned and subscribe and hit like if you enjoyed this video.